If you have ever attended the performance of a symphony orchestra, there are often a few things to observe early on. The people gathering are usually dressed up for the occasion, as you are today. The socialization tone is pleasant, but more reserved than, say, for a Stevie Wonder concert. The orchestra prepares by aligning all of their instruments together, each one with the other, in what first sounds like a din of sounds, like a meandering array of tones trying to find where they all agree. They are tuning to what is called A440. The officiator, who is often the conductor of the orchestra, is usually introduced and welcomed enthusiastically by the audience. And when the conductor turns to face the musicians, there is always a very noticeable time slot of silence. We may be a regular patron of the symphony and are so familiar with the piece that's about to unfold that we take for granted what's about to be played by the orchestra. On the other hand, we may not be that familiar with either the symphony or the oft-repeated classics that are attempted throughout the season. Anyway, back to the stage, to the orchestra, and to the conductor. Out of that obvious, complete, and perfect silence, there emerges the haunting sounds of the first few notes that you draw on. Or it might be a sudden crashing or blaring tsunami of dozens of instruments that leave you rather stunned and exhilarated and wanting more. A memorial service or celebration of life, like the one being conducted right here today, has more similarities to a symphony performance than you might imagine. Many of you have dressed up for the occasion. The socialization tone is pleasant and yet respectfully reserved. Like the musicians, we attempt to find some common ground with others who are present, like, hello, nice to meet you, and how did you know Jason? Little adjustments that hopefully will lead us to a common A440 this morning. As we adjust to each other, it signals us that we feel the loss of Jason in different ways, because we knew him in different ways, and also that we are indeed all very human. Well, we are about to play a symphony together for Jason. Some of us don't know each other at all, and that's okay. Some of us will remain in the audience today, and that's okay. And some of us will jump right into his story, and that's okay too. We are all taken back by the prematureness of his departure. My pastor always says that everyone, no matter how short or long that their actual chronological earthly existence has been, that everyone dies too young. We all want that extra week, a few more months or years with that individual, or even just a chance to engage in a final, meaningful, though perhaps brief, elusive conversation. Jason's later years were laden with pain and discomfort. His life was rich with relationships and his future peppered with wonder and anticipation. We might all ponder what he may be experiencing right now. Some of us strongly believe in an afterlife, and I envision Jason amazed by the freedom from pain that he now has. I picture him basking in the depths of deep-rooted relationship with both God and others, beyond the grave. And I imagined him drinking in the vast supply of both God's embrace of him and his welcoming love. And I selected this original song of mine just for Jason.
That I've never known. He leads me beside the still waters that I never knew. Maybe tasted them once, maybe tasted them twice, dreamt of them once as a child. Now you pour out on me what I could never see. beside the still waters that I've never known. He leads me beside the still waters that I've never known. There's a moment when storms are subsiding. There's a quiet that lingers so long that you wonder why me, and how can this be? When still waters turn into song, He leads me beside the still waters that I've never known. He leads me beside the still waters that I've never known. Pour out on me the endless supply of your love. Pour out on me now that I see waters that I've never known. Won't you pour out on me? Pour out on me the endless supply of your love. Pour out on me now that I see waters that I've never known.
As the officiator today, I take this platform understanding that some of you have no idea who I am or what exactly is about to unfold. Let me suggest that we begin this next segment of our symphony together with a traditional moment of silence for Jason. But first, let me backtrack a moment to the lyrics of that song. There is a paraphrase by Mary Farrar of Psalm 23, which is a very familiar text to many people of many faiths. But Mary has taken it in a different direction and written it like this. Because the Lord is my shepherd, He meets my every need. He gives me rest when I cannot sleep, and peace when I feel a sense of panic. He feeds and refreshes my soul when it becomes exhausted and run dry. When I am confused and need direction, He shows me the next step. Even if I suffer so deeply that it is like a living death, I will not be afraid of my future. Even in the times when I don't feel your presence, you are still right here with me. You vindicate me by your abundant provision in the face of those who are against me. You have even protected me from the unseen dangers round about me. I am more than cared for. My life overflows with your goodness. Your goodness and your loving kindness will not abandon me for even a moment this side of the grave. And when I die, I will be with you forever. So I'll bring us out of this next moment of silence with a simple prayer. And as our Symphony for Jason begins, I'll then read a special eulogy and thank you that was composed by Jason's parents, James and Cindy Wiesner. So let's begin that moment of silence right now. Lord, we are easing our way into this symphony for Jason. First with the silence, and now with this prayer. Asking that you would conduct it all. To simply lead us beside the still waters, and also to restore our souls. We ask because you've encouraged us to do so. And we ask because you've also promised to listen. And we thank you for that. Amen. Often on this type of occasion, I'm probably much more qualified to be sitting in the audience as a recipient and listening, as your loved one is honored by those of you that probably need to be up here. Family members, close companions, great friends, and respected acquaintances. All those who knew Jason the very best. Several of you are prepared to share your hearts and your thoughts about Jason, and we've scheduled that with all of us in just a moment. But before you do, let me read that eulogy that his parents have written. This is from James and Cindy, Jason's mom and dad. We welcome all of you here to celebrate the life of our son, Jason. In his all too short life, Jason contributed a great deal of happiness to our lives. Jason was a giver, and he left behind many gifts. Jason loved people, and despite the chronic pain that plagued his life in the last years, his love seemed to flow in a never-ending stream. Since childhood, Jason always enjoyed meeting and conversing with people of all ages, races, and religions. He took a genuine interest in them and tended to make instant, deep connections. When we traveled with Jason, we were constantly amazed at his way of reaching out to so many strangers in so many lands, pulling them into his web of warmth and friendship. It came so naturally to him. In particular, Jason was deeply rooted in family and close friends. He made every effort to bring family and friends together and enjoy their company. And when he entered a room, it was flooded with warmth that brought a smile to all. He was generous and giving, always checking up on the well-being of others, even while enduring immense pain himself. He was fun-loving, with a creative and contagious sense of humor, bringing joy and light to everyone he knew. Jason's personal values were strong. He had the words loyalty and respect tattooed on his arm, and he passionately demonstrated loyalty to his friends and family, and even to his hometown of San Diego, which was tattooed on his chest. He was a deep thinker and was introspective, philosophical, and spiritual. He was always searching for deep meaning in life and the right way forward. Jason had dreams for his life. Chief among them was his desire to help others. He loved children and enjoyed working with children at a ceramics art studio, and I do want to point out the beautiful pieces of his that are on the table over here for you to ponder shortly. He traveled to Belize to work with orphaned children he adored and who adored him. He hoped to marry one day, have a family, earn a college degree. He was a budding ceramics artist. He aspired to become a masseuse in order to improve lives of others by relieving them of pain and stress. Jason was also determined to improve the quality of his own life. He planned to weightlift and snowboard and skateboard and surf. A couple of weeks before his death, he purchased, and I read this wrong when they sent this to me, I read this wrong and it said he purchased an emotional dog. Why did he purchase an emotional dog? Emotionally, like out of control emotionally, but it was an emotional support dog, and I think that's what I have in my life, in my family's life, is we always had dogs for emotional support, and that's what he purchased. And the dog is right outside with Brian's dog, his brother's dog, so I hope you'll come and check out the pup. Though Jason never had a chance to fulfill his dreams and ambitions, the life-sharing program has given him a last opportunity to realize his dream of helping other people through organ donation. Today, a 24-year-old man in Arizona now breathes with Jason's lungs. A local man lives through the beat of Jason's heart. And 2 local men survive with the function of Jason's kidneys. 4 lives living because of him. We want to thank all of you. This is again from Cindy and from Jim. We want to thank you for your friendship with Jason and for coming today to help us celebrate his life. And we would like to thank you for all the support you have given to us. We will miss Jason, and we know all of you will also. We will always love him dearly and will hold him fondly in our memories.
Hi, I'm Bill Wiesner. I'm Jason's uncle. And this is a very, difficult time, but I wanted to tell a story that I had with Jason, a memory, and I hope I can get through this. I think I can. He came to see me, stay with me for a week, and I live in South Texas. I'm a rancher. Came in July, set this up a little bit. 95 degrees in the morning, okay? And so he came out there, he wanted to work with me, and we're out there on the ranch, and we had to clear a bank of trees that we were gonna put up a new fence line. And this was a, multi-week project, but I got to start it with Jason. And so we get out there and, start around not too early, maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. And we're working, cutting down cedar trees, and, I kind of show him what it is that I want him to do. And, I'm cutting trees, he's pulling them off. I have a couple other people working with us, and we're just pulling stuff off to the side, piling them up. And several hours pass, it's time for lunch. So I told Jason, I said, well, let's go get some lunch. And we all stopped and we went our different ways. And Jason and I got in a four-wheeler to ride up to the house to get some lunch. And he sits down, he unbuttons his shirt, and I look over at him. I look at his face, and his face was so red that it looked like the sun was shining on me. And I looked at him, and I said, Jason, are you okay? You're drinking water. I know you're doing okay. And he goes, puts his head back, and he says, it's 72 degrees at home right now. I couldn't help it, turn my head and laugh, and we just laughed. And of course, we drove up there and had lunch, and he recovered. And Jason and I always joked around with each other. He had a great sense of humor. Loved him for his sense of humor. And so it was time, an hour passed way too quickly, and it was time to go on and get back to work. Well, by this time, July, South Texas, it's over 100. And we get out there, and this is what I loved about Jason. He did not ask, hey, Uncle Bill, can I hang back at the house and play video games? Or can I sit here and relax for a little while because it's just way too hot? He wanted to be out there with me, lockstep with me, doing whatever it was that I was doing. And it didn't matter if it was fun, or if it was, if we were laughing or joking, or if we were killing ourselves. He just wanted to be there and experience that family time that we had together. And that's the Jason that I knew. Always willing to do whatever. It didn't matter what I asked him to do. I didn't ask much of him, but anything I did, he did it. He did it with a smile on his face. We joked all the time. I don't know of anybody that has a better sense of humor than he does. And I just love that about him. And I just wanted to share that with y'all. I know everybody knows a different Jason probably. That's the Jason that I knew. And, he will be greatly missed in our house. Thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Noelle and I'm one of Jason's cousins, and I've written something to share with y'all today. Jason was definitely one of my closest cousins and was extremely special to me. From the moment that my parents got married, Jason made me feel a part of the unique Wiesner crew. He immediately called my mom, Aunt Susan, would always start conversations with, hey cousin, or hey cousin Noelle, and constantly talked to me about how excited he was that his Uncle Bill, who he just adored, had cousins his age that he could spend time with. Finding my place in this new family was so easy when I had such a loving and welcoming person to make me feel right at home. I have some of my best memories with Jason. When we were at the ranch together, we were always laughing and having so much fun. Even if it was freezing outside, we would steal my dad's big, thick rancher jackets and get all bundled up and take turns driving the mule around the ranch, probably way too fast for our own good, but it was more fun that way. I remember one time I was driving around and I just drove the mule straight into a ditch, and we couldn't get it out. We probably spent 10 minutes trying to figure out the most casual way to break the news to my dad. Even with all of that planning, my dad was still really mad, and I still got in trouble. Although I was in trouble, Jason made me feel so much better about my terrible driving skills, and we laughed about it for a good couple of hours. Another one of my favorite memories was when Jason came to San Antonio one summer and stayed at our family's house and worked at the ranch with my dad. It was just miserably hot, and he and my dad would walk in the door in their matching dirty, long, white shirts and jeans after a long day, and Jason would just collapse on the couch. Although he complained a lot about the heat, he was so incredibly thankful to be doing this work and spending time with my family. He thanked us multiple times throughout the day about how happy he was to be there with us and that he got to spend time with his cousins. And I was so happy that he came. Those few months during each year that we were the same age, it was comforting going through different experiences, developing into ourselves, and learning about life with him. I always felt such a special bond with Jason, and I admired his selfless and generous soul. His heart was so pure and loving. He was always putting others before himself and constantly checking up on me and making sure I was well, even when he wasn't feeling that well. Jason always asked me questions about my faith and was searching for answers to questions that he had about religion and other reasons why things were happening in his life. I can certainly say that he is finally at peace, and I know he has those answers. John 14, verses 1 through 2, the Lord said, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. My Father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, would I have told you that I'm going there to prepare a place for you?" It's so comforting knowing that Jason is in heaven right now and he's looking down upon us today. Since you're listening, Jason, thank you for fulfilling your purpose in life and teaching me to love my life even when it's hard. Thank you for impacting every single person in such a unique way. You will absolutely never be forgotten. And you will always be in my heart. Your soul lives on and is cherished among everyone. I love you and I can't wait to see you again one day.
So I'm Jason's girlfriend, Michelle. I'm just so glad that I had the opportunity to be in Jason's life. I learned so much just being with him. He was just a very selfless, passionate, and devoted being. Although he had a rough exterior, he definitely possessed a kind, gentle, and sensitive soul. He was just so full of compassion towards everyone. and always have your best interests at heart. He supported me throughout all my endeavors and was always there. Jason had a very, say kind of dorky, somewhat childlike humor, but in a very cute way. And, I'll never forget his laughter. It always brightened my day. Even though he was greatly physically limited, he still had an adventurous spirit. He was always looking for the next thrill. I've always cherished our time we had together, and he holds a very dear place in my heart. I feel like he's watching over us as we speak right now too, in the heavens. That's all I got. Thank you.
My name is Anna Ham, and I'm a longtime friend of Jason Wiesner, and I'm actually really excited to be here to celebrate life with you, and especially to celebrate the life of Jason Wiesner. Jason and my oldest son Gareth, just to give you a little bit of background before I really talk about him. My oldest son and him, they were funny. Jason's the most positive person, everyone knows that, and Gareth was the grouchiest old man you've ever met. And the only way that we as a family could stand Gareth is because of Jason's rays of sunshine that would suddenly lighten the grouchy old man that we lived in. And he was always like running around, Gareth, does this make you happy? This will make Gareth happy. It was such a good attempt, and he is happier now, for real, because of Jason. So he couldn't be here today, he's in Canada right now, but we're thinking of him. So there are a few things that I can think of that I have done, fewer things that I haven't done. They're more difficult to sum up how you feel about someone in a certain amount of minutes. But when it comes to Jason Wiesner, I actually genuinely had no idea that it would be as difficult as it is, because Jason actually embodies a lot of characteristics. A lot of characteristics that I was raised on, and then I went to Bible college to learn. But I never really saw it in the people around me the way it was taught to us. So for instance, there's Bible scripture that says, love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy. I'm not going to read it, but there is the gist of it. The goal is that if in your lifetime you can read that passage and put your name in the front of any of those adjectives, that's the goal. The goal is to be more like the sum of that particular section of the Bible. And fascinating enough, Jason was patient, Jason was kind, and Jason actually fits a great deal of those attributes. And then I started thinking about how hopeful he always was. No matter what his morning was like, somehow he always knew there was hope, that it could get better. No matter if he started off in a situation where he felt from his back pain, he would just actually get up and get going. He would get up and keep going, and he'd invite me and my youngest son over for dinner and cook us, or especially for my son, steaks. He would get up and come over if he thought one of us needed help. He would make sure he was living every day to the fullest. If there was a way to be happy, he'd find it. And if there was a way to make others happy, he would find that too. And sometimes there genuinely wasn't a way, and at that moment he would hold on to hope, and that taught me a lot. Another thing I was thinking about Jason is the whole idea that in this movie called Singing in the Rain, there's a scene where everyone is at their lowest, it's late at night, and they've been staying up talking all night. Everyone's disappointed, nothing's going right in their lives with work and stuff. And they spend all night long as friends just talking and figuring stuff out. And at the very end, the gentleman, the main character, Gene Kelly, he leaves the house and he is so full of hope. Nothing has changed, their jobs are still at stake, everything is kind of confusing, but nothing has changed about the reality. And it's like 5 o'clock in the morning or something. So, but everything has changed on one simple word, which is hope. In the next scene, in the very famous song, Singing in the Rain, when I think of the words, I think of Jason, because it says, let the stormy clouds chase everyone from this place. I got that tune in my head, sorry. Come on with the rain, I have a smile on my face. I walk down the lane with a happy refrain, just singing and dancing in the rain. And that's what I think he did every day, to the best of his ability. Basically, the words are saying, everyone is grouchy, cold, has an umbrella and shivering, and he's out there just singing and dancing what everyone else would consider miserable, just doing his thing. We have a generational gap or two in some of the people here. I love that Jason brought people together, different people, walks of life, everybody. So in closing, I would like to mention a couple of things that capture Jason's essence and really make me want to celebrate Jason's life. Pura vida is a saying in Costa Rica when I was there. There's a very specific type of living, which is just to embrace your life, and then you walk around in your bubble of pura vida. When you meet someone, that's what you say. He really had that. Si se puede, I mean, Jason really did believe anything was possible, and he most of the time would believe that, no matter what proof was in his face, and that helped a lot of people. And there's a song that kind of has a shout-out refrain, which is one of the lines in there says, this person talking to the audience going, "Can I kick it?" And then people yell back, "Yes, you can." And anyone could kick it with Jason. Kick it means hang out. In the most relaxed and open, you're welcome. So, you had to just show some respect, but you could always kick it with Jason, and Jason could definitely kick it. I think that's all I have to say, but thank you very much for letting me say what I'm saying. Thank you, beautiful, beautiful family of Wiesners, that I'm now actually getting to know everyone better. So I think everyone in this room would actually like each other, which is a really huge thing that I haven't experienced before whenever speaking at an event. So thank you very much, and I hope that you'll spend time to get to know each other, because Jason would actually definitely want community and unity.
Eddie Ortega, and as you can see in this picture, I've known Jason my whole life. I haven't had really a speech to prepare, but this is all I really have to say about him. Everything what everyone has said today has been true. He was a really great guy, that's all I can say. He was practically my brother, as you can see the similarities. But I was there for him, he was there for me. And it's just too many stories, too many memories I can't remember right now. I mean, there's just way too many. Way too many. We laughed. We cried, we talked, we did practically almost everything together. What I can really say about Jason was, that he was my brother, and I love him very much. But I'll always remember him. It's just way too much memories, way too many conversations, way too many of that. All I can say about Jason is that he was my brother. I love him, I care for him, and I know that with his back and everything, with his pain and everything, I'm just glad he's not in pain anymore. Because every time I visit him, he was always in pain. But he would always say that every time I came over, that the pain would go away. And to me, that really meant something to me. And now, I'm just really glad that he's not in pain anymore. That's all I can really say. Thank you.
For those who don't know me, I'm Brian. I'm Jason's brother, 6.5 years older. I knew Jason for right around 22 years, and I thought about talking about or doing some memories, talking about some memories I had and stuff like that. But like our other brother Eddie said, that would take way too long. So I'm just gonna kind of talk about the impact he had on me, I guess. It was actually, I thought it was gonna be easy to find a lifetime worth of stuff to say about him. It's actually really hard to find anything that did him justice. But I'll say, yeah, like they were a million memories. We went on international trips together all the time, as we could. So I can talk about those, talk about how great of a person he was. You guys already did that. Talk about how he ate a live snail off the ground as a toddler. But I'll just say that he was my little brother, and we were polar opposites. And I think anybody who knew the two of us knew that, at least when he got older. He was always the tall, attractive one. And I can barely see over this podium. Anybody else who knew him knew he hated wearing a shirt. I think when we were first growing up, he modeled himself after me to a certain extent, which didn't last very long. But one thing I never told him is that I lived all of my adult life aspiring to be more like him. He was open-minded, social, friendly, and caring, all things that I am not. And I've never really been an emotional, lovey-dovey kind of person at all. But Jason was always free with his feelings. That's too free, I thought at the time. But he was not afraid to cry or, tell me you love me or hug me every time we saw each other. He never knew it, but he taught me those things. He taught me kind of how to live and how to, the right way to interact with other people. I'm not very much of a people person. He brought me out of depression I felt late in high school. Maybe his looking up to me kind of showed me that there was somebody who cared about me, like I was significant as a person. And I think he's always kind of had that effect on people. In fact, when we were kids, we used to go on these international and local or whatever trips. But anyway, we'd be sitting on an airplane, and it's just a little thing that came to mind. And I'd be in the corner, well, not the corner, not the airplanes at the corners, but I would be in a window seat, trying to avoid eye contact with people, and it's a lot easier with smartphones now. But he would be in a totally different part of the plane, and my parents know these stories, and he'd just be talking to people the entire time, and never met. And by the end of the flight, half the plane knew him by name. And we'd be just walking out on the terminal, and people would be like, "Bye, Jason." "See you, Jason." And he'd be like, "Who's that?" Like, I had no idea. So, yeah, everybody instantly liked him, which is a quality him and I never shared. That we did. When I left for college, we stopped living in the same state, and it became more difficult to stay in touch and all that. I tried, but the week before I left, he wrote me a note, which, if technologically possible, will show. You guys can't even read that probably. It said, "Dear Brian, before you leave for college," collage, as he spelled it, "I want to spend some time with you. We could do anything like paintball, airsoft, skate, or anything." That was kind of how he was. He was not afraid to tell me that that's what he wanted. I am not like that again. And I thought that was great. I saved the note all these years. That was, actually, no, 13 years ago. And I did. I made a bit of an effort to do those things with him, but I was busy getting ready for school, and you know how it is when you leave for college, and my idiocy would not let me see that I was leaving him behind, and that he was going to be alone without his brother. And I don't know what sparked it, but later he actually wrote me a poem that I kept framed on my wall forever. And I'm almost positive you can't read that. So the resolution is 1P. But it says this. The top it says, "My brother," has a picture of us in Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris.
Washington
Cathedral?
National Cathedral.
In a building. It's a picture of us. And it says, "All those years that have gone to pass, all to come, coming so fast, the happy times, the healthy times, the cheerful times, the wanted times. Like snowflakes falling, loving the fall, hitting ground, just waiting for spring. So you worship the time in the air, the time left, the free falling. Joyful for his future, sad that the times have passed, missing the fun, missing the love. Leaving to college, with all his knowledge, my brother, he'll always be with me." I've had that on my wall for a while, and I thought it was pretty good for whatever age it was. Jason and I did a lot of competing with each other, as I think brothers do. We used each other as a basis for measuring our respective successes in life, and really I could never compare to him. He's good looking and likable and sociable and friends everywhere. He went to an orphanage in Belize to help kids for months. Like, I wouldn't even think to do that. Just in the last 2 weeks, he saved the lives of 4 people. I can never compare to that or compete with that. During certain periods of our life, of his life, the pain changed him. The pain made him angry, made him do things and say things that he otherwise wouldn't. And we knew what the source was. But a few months ago, he called me crying, as he often would. He told me that the pain was so bad. He said, "I don't want to be this person. I want to be the person we were when we were kids." He wanted so bad just to go back to me and him, just skateboarding in the driveway, no pain or anger or regrets. And I did too, frankly. But I guess in conclusion, one thing he always said reminded him of us as brothers is, or growing up, specifically growing up with me, is listening to the band that I was obsessed with and that I introduced him to, that everybody knows, and the people in the back, and that is the band Metallica, which, yes, that's right, you know. In fact, a few weeks ago, I think maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, he called me for the 3rd time and asked me for the 3rd time for me to get a matching tattoo of the band's logo with it. I am not a tattoo guy, but that is the first and only tattoo I've ever considered getting, and still consider getting, considering to get. Anyway, when he was in college, I gave him a guitar to practice with, and I taught him his first riff. And soon we were playing our first Metallica song together. And that was one of the things one of the greatest memories I have with Jason. So today I was asked to play a song in tribute to Jason. At first I thought that was kind of weird and unnecessary. And I was definitely reluctant since I haven't practiced in like weeks. But in the spirit of being more like him, I'll give it a shot. I won't sing the words, and you can thank me for that later. But this song contains the first riff that I taught to Jason, and the first song that we played together. This song is about feeling close and connected to someone you love, even when you've been forced apart.